I was chased down the street for an hour straight.
Welcome to our Crime Against Kids podcast where we talk about personal crime experiences. I'm your host, Sonoma.
And I'm your co-host, Sam. In this episode, we'll dive into a special guest talking about her kidnapping experience. Before we bring our special guest in, Macy, let's learn a little bit about her. Macy is a 14-year-old student at Pioneer Middle School. She experienced a real-life kidnapping story. She didn't get kidnapped, but she almost did.
Let's meet her now.
Hi guys, my name's Macy.
Hi, Macy. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So I've heard you had a crazy kidnapping story. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. It all happened on a summer night, just normal night, nothing weird. It was warm outside with a light breeze, and I was kind of bored. It was summer, and I was alone. My parents went to bed, and I was about 11:40 p.m., like on a Friday night, late July, I think. Since it was 11:40, my parents went to bed, and I opened my window, and I left my house. I was walking to the gas station to get some snacks, but then I got to go on a walk in the park, and I was enjoying my snacks, and I was walking in the park, but as soon as I realized I wasn't the only one there was a strange man behind me, not that close, but close enough for me to be aware. I was trying to shake it off, but the more I walked, the more I noticed him. I started to panic, but I knew that the only way I could stay safe was staying calm. I walked around 3 corners, and he was still there. This is when I started to rethink everything, realizing all of it was a mistake. I started to increase my speed, and he did too. I got near the busy road with cameras, and then I ran in front of a camera. That's when he ran away. I stayed there for 30 more minutes until I felt good enough to go home. I ran home, jumped back into bed, jumped through my window, and that night I will always remember and regret.
Well, that's a crazy story, Macy. Thank you for sharing.
Did you ever tell your parents?
No, to this day, they still haven't known. I think it wasn't for that camera, I wouldn't have been missing.
How has it affected you today?
Well, now I'm way more aware of my surroundings.
Because an average of 2,100 people go missing per day, and that's pretty high.
Have you snuck out since?
No.
Have you learned anything about kidnapping ever since you had that scary close encounter and want to tell our guests anything about kidnapping to keep them safe?
Well, I would just say stop sneaking out, especially alone, because of the dangers and the chances that could never come home. And I have learned to always be aware of our surroundings at all times, because if I didn't that night, I wouldn't have been here today.
Every 40 seconds a child goes missing. So stay safe, don't risk yourself, don't be one of them.
With that having said, always make sure you're supervised in an area with a parent or guardian, or at least they know where you are.
And that's our episode of Crime Against Kids. Thank you, Macy, for coming. We'll see you guys next week.
I'll never be the same again.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to Crime Against Kids. I'm your host, Sonoma.
And I'm your co-host, Sam. Today we'll bring in a special guest to learn a little bit about her. Annabelle is a 13-year-old attends Pioneer Middle School and had a scary close encounter with a stalker.
Okay, let's bring her in.
Hi, guys.
Hello, Annabelle.
Thanks for coming.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Can we hear about your close encounter with a stalker?
Yeah, so pretty much I was walking one day with my dog and there was a guy behind me for abnormally long. I tried to brush it off and went home. I felt relieved, but the next few days I saw him walking past my house every day. I was gaining random followers on social media, but thought nothing of it. Every day when I would walk, he would be behind me for 10 minutes. I started to get concerned and stopped walking, but he would always be near my house, pacing back and forth. I told my parents, and they secured our house more every night until eventually he disappeared. A month-ish later, I saw a man on the news who reminded me of him, who was going to jail for privacy invasion. I felt relieved and haven't had an experience with him since.
Wow, that's a crazy story. Thank you for sharing, Annabelle.
That's wild.
How has this affected you today?
A lot more cautious and aware of my surroundings.
Do you have any tips to keep our viewers safe?
An estimate 3.4 million people get stalked per year, and making sure you are always supervised and keep a private life online as well as in real life can help keep you safe.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
Do you remember what the guy looked like?
No, but it seemed like a tall male.
Do you think your dog protected you?
Yes, with all his might, but I think he's a little stressed to go outside now.
With that being said, thank you for coming, Annabelle. That's our episode of Crime Against Kids. See you next week. Hey guys, welcome back to Crime Against Kids. I'm your host, Sonoma.
And I'm your co-host, Sam. Today we'll share a special guest that has a scary encounter of a kidnapping story. But first, let's learn a little bit about her. Mariah is a 13-year-old who attends Pioneer Middle School and really enjoys Butterfingers.
Let's bring her in.
Hi, guys.
Hi, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Can we hear about your personal crime experience?
Yeah, of course. So pretty much when I was 7, I was grocery shopping with my family, and they let me go into the candy aisle to get some candy. As I was in the candy aisle, I noticed a guy behind me staring at me. I didn't think about him and grabbed my Butterfinger, and he said, "Hello, sweetie." And I ignored him, and he just came closer as I started running away to my parents. Eventually, I ran to them, and the man ran away. To this day, I still remember him and how close I was.
That's crazy stories, Mariah. Thank you for sharing.
How has this changed you?
I'm a lot more cautious when I'm alone and make sure someone always knows where I am.
Would you say he was going to take you if you hadn't ran to your parents and gotten to your parents?
Yes.
A child goes missing every 40 seconds, so always make sure you're supervised or in an area where people can see you or there's cameras.
Do you remember what he looked like?
Not really. He was a tall, skinny male with tattoos.
Have you seen him again that you know of?
No, thankfully.
And that wraps up our episode of Crime Against Kids. See you guys next week. Bye,
Bye, guys.
guys.